I'm curious if you've ever had this issue where you really want to put effort into your creative pursuit, and yet, while you have the desire, you just feel kind of drained. Like there's nothing really there. It's like I have the desire to go do and sit down and write. However, nothing comes off onto the page. I went on the quest of trying to retrieve information. Is there a way to cure this disease? Which is going to be the three aspects of creativity. If you've never seen me before, my name is Ethan, and this is my YouTube channel. I've designed this channel as a way to sort of connect to other writers, who's all centered around improving our creative pursuits. So if that is something that you're interested in joining or at least observing, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button and follow along for more content. These videos are out here just publicly on YouTube, so if it's something you want to engage in, feel free to comment down below, include your 2 cents along with mine, then we'll have 4 cents. Or if you would rather just stay sort of observant and distant, that's totally fine. I get that too. You can take whatever information is useful for you and run away with it. The first of these helpful aspects is the process. When we understand process, we can start to almost kickstart that engine inside of us and just sort of force our train onto the tracks, as it were. Sometimes when you recognize patterns, if you're feeling off, right, and out of your pattern, recognizing the pattern can help you get back in. There are 2 ways to think about the process of creativity I would like to share with you today that I found. One was through like an artist. He does pictures and stuff. The process that he came up with was something he calls ready, fire, aim. The idea is that each of those are a stage within his process. Ready means you are gathering and consuming. This is where you're talking to strangers, right? Just having conversations, being interested and invested into other people's experiences. This is where you're reading, watching movies, listening to music. Maybe this is where you find a new hobby. So that is the ready phase. Then he calls the fire phase, and that is where you're just going to start spitting stuff out. It could be crap. It could be brilliant. Either way, you're just spilling things out onto a page, onto a canvas, whatever it is that you creatively are pursuing. That takes us to the third and final part of the process, which is aim. When you feel like you've unloaded every thought that you could, then you start aiming. That's a good idea. That's all bad over here, but that thing right there is good. The second process that I think is very helpful is the divergent and convergent way of thinking. So in this model, it is a direct pattern of like diamond shapes with the points of the diamond connecting. You're expanding. You're saying, here's all of the possibilities of things that I could create, right? So you're in your divergent stage. And then eventually you hit a spot where it switches to a not divergent, convergent stage, where you start narrowing in. The second aspect of the creative pursuit, the environment. And there's 2 ways to think about environment. One is landscape, which is your physical surrounding. You writing in a messy room, like that's something that bothers me. If it's a bunch of clutter and mess around me, I don't think as well as when I have a clean space to work on. You act differently when you're in different spots. I act and think and behave differently within my home than I do when I'm out in public or at the coffee shop or at a library. So hitting those different centers of your brain might translate to you kind of thinking of something differently within your writing or creative pursuit. The second scape to think about is our mental scape. There was a really good video thinking about like quieting your mind. So something that happens to me is, and that I think happens to a lot of us, is overthinking, right? Or letting the stress of something else come in and sort of take over your brain, right? You need to find a way to quiet your mind. So this is normally done through some sort of activity. This activity could be breathing exercises. The one guy who I came across this idea in his video, I'll credit him also down below. He goes on hikes, which he thinks is a great way because it's meditative. He can quiet his thoughts when he feels far away from everything else. He feels like the problems in his head are farther away. And so he kind of gets into this quiet state. So experimenting with ways to quiet your brain. For me, it could be journaling, right? So journaling is one way that I can quiet my brain. It's finding a way that is specific to you. It's hard to say something that is going to definitely work because something that works for me may not work for you. So we've gone over process, we've gone over environment, both physical and mental, and the last aspect would be focus. Having purposeful thought and intentional ambition is a way to kickstart your creative engine. So the way that I would explain purposeful thought is that for me, something that happens to me is I get scatterbrained. When I start thinking about writing, I get so hung up on different aspects that I start worrying about maybe grammar, when at that moment, grammar is not really the important thing. I have this idea for something I want the character to say or do, and that needs to take priority over these other distractions, right? Maybe you're reading your stuff back and the grammar is distracting you from seeing the bigger problems, right? Bigger, quote unquote, issues within your work. So you need to stop and address the grammar problem if it's distracting your brain, right? Because that is what's taking precedence over your other thoughts. So having that focus and saying, okay, I'm going to focus on grammar through this passage because I need to get through the fog, right, of bad grammar to see the good writing behind it. Having the desire to say, I want to do this right and I want to do this well is a motivation within itself. Just to recap, we have our three aspects of creativity or the creative process. The first is process, the second is environment, and the third is focus. These three things are immensely important for you to finish your goals. If you feel in a funk or in the fog, recognizing these three aspects will do so much in just helping you understand how to get your train back on the track. You're going to have days that maybe every word that you put down is not going to be used. To worry about discipline and keep going even through the tough days, right? And those tough days might be in a row, right? It may not just be one by itself. You might have a week of tough days. Eventually, you'll get caught back up again, or you'll start wherever you're at. It's okay. Wherever you're at, it's okay. I'm saying these words to you because they're words that I need to hear for myself too. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you liked and would like to know more. I'll put videos up of some other things that might interest you. I do book reviews. My next video is going to be a book review. I'm very excited to share that with you. So please, if you enjoyed this video, let me know down below if you have anything that you would like to add to the conversation, or just let me know if I'm doing an okay job. Or I guess you could let me know if I'm not doing a good job too. That's fair. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.